All right, gang, thanks a ton for joining us on this iBuyer webinar. Some of you are watching live right now, and we're sure grateful for that. And others of you are watching the replay of it. Long story short is we have the coolest opportunity in real estate right now waiting for you. It's at the cusp. We're at the fingertips right here, and so excited. But allow myself to introduce myself. Austin Powers quote, if you didn't get that, that's okay. It's been like 30 years since that movie came out. Anyhow, here's where we find ourselves now is I'm Erik Hatch, of course, located in Fargo, North Dakota. And I run a real estate team. I run a coaching company. Our real estate team, boy, we are on fire right now. We've been a top 50 real estate team in the country, as well as the #1 team in North Dakota since our inception back in 2012. And so we're just breaking all sorts of records this year because we're up like 40% year over year. Last year, we sold 636 homes. We're pacing for 850 to 900 homes this year, just having so much fun. I also, 4.5 years ago, opened up a coaching company because I love to impact and influence real estate in the best possible way. And so we thought that the coaching platform would be the best way to do so. And we've built up some major technologies as well as some awesome coaching packages. I'll share a couple things at the end here of ways that you can get involved and digest some things that we're doing, because I think we're up to something really good. Here's what happened. I found myself 2 years ago. In fact, it was 3 years ago. My buddy Nick Shivers out of Portland, Oregon. If you know Nick, he and I run Sell a Home, Save a Child. It's a nonprofit that empowers realtors like you and me to do some great good with our businesses and to put some purpose behind it. Anyways, he's like out in Portland. He's like, Hatch, guess what? I'm doing this thing called iBuyers. I'm like, what in the world is an iBuyer? And of course, on the coast, they're going to be hit by the Zillows and the Open Doors and OfferPads far before we are. And he's like, yeah, I talked to the guy who runs Open Door and he knows what he's doing. And this is going to become a thing. So he's like, I'm going to play the same game as they are. And so Nick started an iBuyer movement in one of the hottest sellers markets in the country, also with the average sales price of over $400,000. And I swear to you, my thought was, Nick, you're an idiot. How dare you? Why in the world would you choose to jump in? And why would you do this iBuyer movement? Nobody's ever going to sell their house. And what I didn't know and understand is that there are certain demographics that we don't pay much attention to. Not because we're malicious and bad and anything else, but it's because we have our traditional client. See, this iBuyer movement, if you're not familiar, iBuyer, if you ask what the I stands for, sometimes it's an instant buyer, sometimes it's internet buyer. Really, it's giving somebody an offer to buy their home before they have to put it on the market and sell it and get all that advertising out there. They can avoid hassle, fix-ups, all those things. And usually they're selling at a wholesale price. And so as Nick is explaining this to me, I think, Nick, you're an idiot. Nobody's going to sell their house directly to you. Fast forward 9 months later, and Nick's like, Hatch, guess what? I've bought 15 or 20 houses, and here's the profit that I made. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if this can work in Portland, it has to be able to work in Fargo. Like, I don't have to compete against other companies. See, half of you watching right now are competing against Zillow and Open Door and that sort, and you can't compete because you don't play the same game. And other people in markets similar as mine, you are so ripe with opportunity right now, and you don't even know it, because if those other places aren't here, you can be first and fast and biggest and best to market. So I've been doing this now for just over 2 years, and I'm going to walk you through what we've done, how we've done it, and how you can do it too. I'll tell you this, is we have an opportunity at the end of this presentation here where you can sign up and literally get like a franchise model to do this on your own. You can do it with us. If you choose to copy everything I give you and you don't sign up with us, I'm okay with that. It's going to cost you more and it's going to take you more effort, but like, I'm okay with that. I just want to show you how you can have your business be revolutionized. I'm going to tell the story of how we're doing it, and we're actually delivering a high level of service to people. Before I dive in here, I want to say this, is here are who the target clients are. Think of anything that starts with D: death, divorce, disability, decay, detrimental situations. Like, these are the people who are usually the target market. people who are in crisis of some sort. And my passion is to serve. My joy in all this is I get to help people out of really precarious situations. And those are the ones that are choosing to sell directly to an investor. And I just happen to be that investor. So I'm going to show you, we're going to walk through, we're going to teach you all the ways in which you can do an iBuyer movement yourself, literally starting tomorrow if you want. Maybe by even the end of the day today, we'll see how it goes for you. If you have questions, if you have comments, whatever it may be, put them in the chat box here, and I will promise you I'll get to everything I possibly can. But let's make this a conversation and not just a presentation. With that, allow me to share my screen here. Where is my button? That's not it. Where's my share? There's where it says share screen. That's where I'm sharing my screen. Go figure. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to jump to it. We're going to go wrong button. There it is. Okay. And present. Hopefully you all can see that. Obviously, we want you to be your own iBuyer, your own instant buyer, internet buyer, whatever we're going to call it. All right. This next slide is not to be braggadocious. I just want you to know and understand the impact that this has. 2 years, 24 months I've been doing this in Fargo, North Dakota. Average sales price of $230,000. Look at this. I've grossed almost $1.5 million with a net. That net is the sexy number. Gross doesn't matter. I've netted through the different avenues of this over $1 million. Even saying that sounds so weird. Let's go 10 years backwards. 10 years backwards, I was working at a job making $36,000 a year. Now, on top of my real estate business, I've added this other leg to the stool, making an extra $1 million net as an iBuyer. Now, that's not just in commissions. That's not just in investing. It's a whole lot of avenues that I'm going to show you exactly what this looks like. But I'm hoping to capture your attention right away and say, dudes, ladies, gang, this is huge. So this is a listing attraction. And I'm going to jump here. This is a way to draw in more listings for your company, period. Isn't that the golden goose that we're all looking for? Is how in the world can I add more listings? How can I get more listing inventory? This is one of those solutions. And it's another way to add other aspects of your business. I'll futurecast what I think is the trending way of real estate is that people are going to want more and more us to be one-stop shops. They value our marketing, our reputation, and our service, and they're going to want to get mortgage. They're going to want to get title. They're going to want to get insurance. They're going to want to get and have seller options. They're going to want to know, can I go to this one place and get my handyman from them, as well as sell my house to them or sell on the traditional market? And it's all like bundled together. That's where I think the market's going. And if you don't believe me, look at what the companies like Zillow are doing. I don't think Zillow is the enemy. I think Zillow is the person taking full advantage of the opportunities that are out there right now. All right, that is not going. Holy cow. I'm messing up my buttons. This is a tricky day. Here we go. All right, so we offer our sellers 3 different options. 3 different options is where we're at. Number 1, listing traditionally, which is what all of us as realtors offer right now, is here's our traditional listing agreement. Put your house on the market, and we're going to advertise. We're going to market. We may have to do some price drops. Here's what you can expect. Here's the time frame, and all of that is met with a high level of stress. We have our snap offer. I'm going to jump to number 3, our snap instant offer. And by the way, you don't have to be the buyer. We're going to show you some strategies where you don't have to be the buyer. And in fact, you just need to find the buyer for it, and you get to play that middleman or middlewoman person and portion. Now, number 2, I'm just going to give you a quick overview, is we also offer a $10,000 interest-free loan for upgrades. So sometimes people want to capture the opportunity of selling directly to an investor. Otherwise, they want to list traditionally, or maybe they need to do some sprucing up in order to maximize. Here's the best example. We had a seller contact us, a property in its current condition worth about $120,000. We said, here you could list traditionally for $120,000, or you can take the snap offer. And my snap offer is usually about 70 cents on the dollar. So take off 36 grand on that, and that would have been my price. And they're like, yeah, I don't know if I like either of those. And so we said, well, what if Eric loans you $10,000? You just pay him back at closing, no interest. You just pay him back at closing. Because if you do $10,000 worth of carpet and paint and some landscaping, we think your house will sell for 145. And their eyes got super big. Now here's the win. We charge a 7% listing commission on that. We charge them $1,000 in fees, $495 for a transaction fee, and another $500 just to mitigate some of the risk. And then we list their house. We make sure that they use our contractor, and our contractor simply said they'll wait up to 6 months to get paid back from when they do the work. And in that case, I can float that bill until closing comes, and I'll just take proceeds out. And we're getting lots of inquiries on this right now because, again, sellers want options. And most of us right now are listing and advertising in a traditional way. And yet the demands of sellers out there, this person's like, man, I can borrow 10 grand of Erik's money and actually make 15 grand more on the property, and I just need to pay it back when it closes. Like, it's a no-brainer for them. It's a no-brainer for me because I know my market and we know the houses, and I know that we're now going to maximize our commission. I'm going to get an extra fee in there also. Like, there's not a loss in that unless for some reason the house doesn't sell. And guess what? I had them sign a promissory note saying that they'll pay me back, or I'll have to take them to court. But we made sure that they have enough equity in it too. So I'm not going to go on a rampage about that, but I want you to see, know, and understand that it's our job to give options to our sellers. For us today, we're talking about snap offer options, and I love what's happening here. All right. So if you offer a snap offer or an instant offer, we call ours our snap offer. You have 4 different paths that you can do. You can buy the house, and again, 70 cents on the dollar or so is what we're purchasing for, minus repairs. So if there's a lot of work to be done, make sure that you are heating your bet or hedging your bet, excuse me, and covering your butt, because oftentimes what looks like $5,000 is going to cost you 10, and so to have your margin built in. Option number 1, if you are going to buy these places, is you can buy it and hold it. You just keep it as a rental, right? You'll know your market. You'll know when the numbers make sense on that. Number 2, this is what most people think of when they hear this, is fix and flip. Fix and flip is what HGTV makes all its money on. You buy something, you spruce it up. I would recommend be drawn more to the properties that need lipstick rather than a whole new hip. The bigger the project, the more risky it becomes. And if it just needs some cosmetic updates, that's where your big opportunities are. Also, the Zillows and Open Doors of the world that are offering on these and other iBuyers, they oftentimes don't want the bigger projects. So if you are going towards a bigger project, make sure you're building in more margin of error. I say that out of experience. Number 3, a wholesale. Most of you probably haven't heard of what's called a wholesale before. And that is, buying a property, actually purchasing it, and then putting it right back on the market. Looking to use the MLS as a way to target investors or to find somebody who's just looking to get in right away. Finally, number 4, wholesale. This is where you actually never buy the property. You don't exchange any money. You use what's called an assignable contract. So let's say I identify a property that's worth $200,000. My offer to them is 140 grand. Okay. Let's walk through this. If my offer to them is $140,000, that's 70 cents on the dollar, which is usually what I'm offering. And they say to me, no, they don't like the 140. Well, immediately we think that we're dead in the water, but I got to tell you that you're not dead in the water. You say to them, okay, well, what is your price? Or maybe they say yes to 140, or they say, you know what, I got to be at 155. I need to net 155,000 bucks. And you're like, okay, at 155, my margins don't work. But I have 10 investors I've been working with, and they've been looking for properties similar to this. So I'm going to take that 155,000 and write a contract on it telling them, listen, I'm not buying your house, but I'm going to go and try to find somebody who will. Off market, no showings. They're just going to do an inspection on it, cash sale, and you'll close quick. Then you go and shop it to other investors. You'll find somebody who will maybe pay $175 for that property. That's still $25,000 discounted from the market. Big win for them. You charge a $10,000 or $20,000 wholesale fee, different than a commission. This is a wholesale fee. So you're getting 20 grand in this situation. You win. The sellers are getting the 155 that they wanted. They win. And guess how much money I had to risk to get $20,000 by simply assigning a contract? My marketing and my time. I didn't actually have to be an investor. And this has been one of the biggest draws for people who don't have the financial wherewithal, the savvy, or the relationships to get there, is you wholesale it. That's a totally different conundrum we can find ourselves in, and the most positive of conundrums. But I want you to see and understand that this snap offer is for everybody. So what have I done in the last 2 years? Here are the numbers. I'm giving almost 10 offers a month. 220 is what I've done in the last 24 months. 46 people have said yes. That's just over 20%. Here, if I do this, this is the easiest way for me to articulate this. If I give 5 offers, one of these offers says yes to me. One of the offers will list with us. And these other 3 sit in what I like to affectionately call snap offer purgatory, where they haven't yet made their decision on what to do. These are future seller leads. These are future snap leads. These are future wholesale opportunities. And there's a lot of meat on the bone when we have these other 3 remaining. Now, I probably put like half a finger down and say that maybe out of every 5, half of one of those is going to go and they're going to list with another agent. Just the way that it goes. Of course, we're not going to win every single deal, but there's big opportunity there. Of the 46 I've done, I flipped 26 of them. And you can see 5K on the short side is where I've invested my money up to $120,000. That $120,000 house, I just got it in contract for deed. I literally, this week, got it in a contract for deed, and it's now me being the bank. But I will lose $40,000 on that house. Because I need to be honest with you, and not everything is going to be sexy. Not everything is going to be a win in this, and sometimes you lose. I've lost like $5,000 on a couple of houses, but this one was 40. And that's simply because we ran into a whole bunch of basement issues, water intrusion things, the bad and wrong general contractor, all those things painted the story of like, hey, this is a big loss. And I have sold the house. This is now the 3rd time. The other 2 times it fell through the week of closing. So like this is the horror house money pit. And you will have those as well, which is why the wholesale opportunity where you don't actually buy it has so much more attractive qualities on it. Back on the market, wholesale were 8, wholesaled 6 of them, and 6 I've kept as rentals. Now, also 34 listed with us, 14 listed elsewhere, and 126 we're still chasing. We're offering them wholesale opportunities. We're continuing to market and drip on them, and my gosh, it's been fun. So here's the math. I want you to see it. I've added equity. This first column on the left here, I've added equity of $150,000 to my bottom line. These are rentals that I bought at below market value. I bought 6 rentals. Each one has been $20,000 or $25,000 in equity. In fact, maybe closer to 25 or 30 on some of them. Commissions made, obviously, I'm charging a commission. This is an important piece to point out. I'm charging a commission on every transaction when I buy it and when I sell it. The reason why that's important is because Erik Hatch, the investor, is different than Erik Hatch, the real estate company owner. I am making sure that each pot is filled correctly. Yeah, I got to pay more to file taxes for different entities, but it's really clean and it's avoiding auditing and risk for my company. So obviously making money on commissions. I have an agent that actually does all this for me. I just get an email. Right before this, I got an email of a property that she went to, and I need to make my offer. And so I'll look at some pictures online that she sent me and a description, and I'll give her an offer, sight unseen. And I don't ever see the houses at this point. So this is a system and an ecosystem that is working for me. And for you, you still need to be the person going to the house every time, but pay yourself in the right buckets. And then my investment money, obviously there's some big cash here. This is what I've made from actually flipping properties and the profit that's there. Now, of course, I'm making money as well when it comes to commissions with traditional listings that we pull from it. And you can see this here. Long story short is there's a lot of financial gain waiting for you for those that do this iBuyer stuff. Now, wholesaling, as I alluded to before, has been a big financial draw. This is me risking $0. Look over on that right-hand column. Investor dollars I risked, 0. No money risked, everybody. That's such a big deal. Yes, I have marketing dollars into it, and I'll cover where we're getting our marketing from. But let me say that I've collected $90,000 in wholesale fees. We charge 15 grand on each deal. And then this additional meat on the bone is when we were able to charge more than 15,000 because we knew what the market value was for that property. The seller got what they wanted, the investor got what they wanted, and I was able to pick up an extra 50K. Gang, that's almost 8 grand. That's between 8 and 9 grand per house extra. And this is money with no risk. So there's a big deal. And I want to tell you, I'm not the only person doing it. I'm not. There's a lot of people out there. Nick Shivers out in Portland, over $2.5 million net Nick has made in the last 3 years. He runs a real estate team that'll do 200 or 300 transactions a year. And look at that. Look at that cash. That's the real deal. Tanya Harbin down in Abilene, Texas, a little southern community. She's made, in fact, I should have probably updated this. She's probably over $1.5 million now in the last 2 years. And Chad Schwindeman in Brainerd, Minnesota, a community of like 60,000 people. He's made over $1.5 million in the last 2 years. These people run big teams, but I'm seeing people that have small teams or independent agents as well doing this and making a killing. In fact, it's becoming their main thing because it's so much more lucrative than just selling houses. So you need 5 things. If you're taking notes, it's getting good now. These are 5 things that you need to be successful. Again, whether you're doing it with us or doing it on your own. So here are the 5 things that you need: marketing, financing, the right team, a list of investor buyers, and knowledge. I'm going to unpack each of these. So even if you don't write all this down, each number is going to have a lot of this. So first, number 1, right marketing. Having a great idea only matters if you have a strategy to get in front of people. The first is free, and it just takes hustle. We're talking word of mouth. We're talking telling every one of your sellers, every person that comes to an open house. We're talking chatting about it on your social media, doing videos, blasting to your database, hustling. I'm talking knocking on the doors of assisted living facilities. That's in fact one of my favorite strategies. Is I have a good friend that owns an assisted living facility here in town. And I approached her and I said, how do we service your clients better? What is the struggle and frustration? And she told me some things that are happening with government funding that they have. People who are going to be living on government support because they're elderly or because they're disabled. And oftentimes they're in financial situations where they need to sell their house and sell it quickly. And it makes sense that they sell directly to an investor. In fact, Sarah, my agent who just sent me that appointment today, the people have moved into an assisted living facility, and that's why they're selling. And so now, just because of relationships that we have with assisted living facilities, we get leads all the time, and it doesn't cost us any money. So number 1 is big and important, and you got to hustle and put your oomph into it. Number 2, radio, TV, and billboards. Expensive, yes. Effective, absolutely. I'm not talking 1 billboard, I'm talking 10. 1 radio station doing like 1 ad a day doesn't work. It has to be on repeat. Radio is the number 2 lead source for us as we get all these at bats. It's a really, really big player. If you don't have the financial wherewithal to do it, don't go and try to put 5 or 10 grand a month towards radio, TV, or billboards and expect it to cash out. You don't need to. Number 3 is maybe my favorite. This is direct mail. We work with a company called REI Vault, Real Estate Investor Vault. So go to reivault.com/snapoffer. Literally write that down. It's super important because we will show you how we're using direct mail to target folks. This is my number 1 lead source. Full transparency is we're spending about $4,000 a month on direct mail. $4 grand's a lot of money. But almost all the at-bats that we're getting, the majority of the at-bats that we get come from that direct mail. They're smart, they're great at marketing, they stay in front of people, and if you do it consistently over time, you will reap massive benefits. These are also different than like an internet lead, right? Digital marketing is number 4, and I like digital marketing, but more for retargeting, more for chasing after the leads that you've already bought. The reason why direct mail works is because you are consistently branding yourself over time, and then use digital marketing as an enhancer for that. I said there's 5 categories. Marketing is number 1. The right dollars are number 2. How are you going to pay for these houses? What are you going to do? Number one is be your own investor, okay? If you're going to be your own investor, you can use all the cash that you have. And most people don't have hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in the bank. It totally makes sense. Remember, 10 years ago, I had no money in the bank whatsoever. And it's just amazing what God has done to bear the fruit in my life. And so now I'm starting to buy some of these houses for cash. I don't even rely on a bank anymore. Not all of them, but some of them. So you can use your own cash. You can use a line of credit. If you go and talk to a local bank and you ask and tell them what you're going to do, what I've seen, it's pretty common, is 6 to 8% interest rate. They're going to ask you to put down 20 or 30%, and you have the potential of financing your fit up. So if it's a $100,000 property, you're going to have to put down $20,000 or $30,000, and then maybe they'll give you a loan for the fit up too. So it's not a ton of money out of your pocket if you're rolling with these kind of opportunities. If you need an introduction to a hard money lender, let me know. It's a short-term loan is really what it is. It's less money down than what you'd have at a bank. And they're taking and assuming a bigger risk, so that's why the interest rate is higher. And then sometimes there's some origination fees. Number two would be to partner with your investors. And I love the idea of a partnership with investors if you get some skin in the game. They may be doing the flip and everything else, but if you're only taking a commission on it and paying for expensive marketing, you're in a hurt bag. Now, I have a client down in Alabama. He's a coaching client of mine, really good dude. And he wanted to jump in and start advertising and buying REI Vault and doing radio and all that. And I'm like, yeah, you don't need to do that yet. He's like, just start word of mouth. And within a week, he calls me and he's like, Hatch, I have somebody who is wanting to sell their house to me, but I don't have the funds to buy it. And I said, okay, well, who do you know for investors? And he goes through a line of investors and he's like, okay, I think I can call this person, and they would love to jump on this opportunity. So at that time, my buddy Jason now is a partner in the deal. He gets commission on the transaction, and then the guy is giving him, I think it's 35% profit for the flip, just for introducing it to him. $0 out of Jason's pocket. He gets the commission when he sold it to him and when he's going to turn around and flip it. And then he's getting 35% of the profit because he asked. That's it. The hardest thing in all this is finding the right properties. And if you have the marketing, work savvy steps with your financing and watch the windfall come towards you. Number three is the right team and systems. I cannot stress the importance of this enough. You need to have the right general contractor. I think I'm on my 5th right now in the last 2 years, and this guy's wearing me thin too. It is one of the hardest things to do, is to find a great GC that you can trust on and be treated like you're their only client. Flooring is huge because almost every home needs new flooring, carpet, tile, laminate, you name it, it's going to need it. Paint is the same thing. That happens in almost every flip. The right inspector. I can call my inspector up and I know that he's going to do 2 things for me. Number one is he's going to do an inspection for me within 24 hours if I need it, because I bring him a lot of business. And number 2, he's going to re-inspect the property after we flip it, and then he's going to update his report and give us a nice clean inspection report that we actually have to present, because remember, we have to fully disclose everything that we know about the property. So he'll clean all that up for us. Title to close in a couple days, insurance, and more. Here's how the right system really works. It was a Wednesday and I got a call from one of my agents named Tyler, and he's like, Eric, I'm really nervous and worried because the buyers just backed out on my folks' property. They were selling with us about a $200,000 house, and they were buying a $400,000 house with us. And they were going to lose out on this opportunity, and the door would close on their dream home. And we emotionally were like, oh man, that sucks. We had set up our snap offer stuff. And so he said, Eric, would you buy their house? And again, it was at $200,000 and I didn't offer him 70 cents on the dollar. I offered him more like 80 cents on the dollar. And I paid, I think, like 160 for it. And I overpaid because the house had already sold in like a day. It had cleared inspection. It had cleared appraisal. I knew what I was buying was a solid property and it didn't need work to it. This would have been like a whole tail that I can just put right back on the market. And so sure enough, I gave them the offer of $160,000 at the end of the day, Wednesday. Thursday, they came back and said, all right, I guess we'll take it. It was their only option, really. And I wasn't taking advantage of the situation. I was just taking risk, because remember, at that 160 price, I'm paying a commission to the agent that sold it to me. I have to pay commission when I turn around and sell it. I have all my carrying costs, all the risk that's associated with it. And they said yes on a Thursday, and 24 hours later, they closed. I was able to buy, they were able to sell, and it's because we had such a deep-rooted relationship, which gave me such a high level of confidence that we are serving our people at a level in which none of my competition can. Nobody gets this kind of service and accessibility unless they're in the Hatch Realty world. So these relationships and these teams matter a lot. Now, if you're going to go down the wholesale route, we're on number 4 here, a list of investor buyers. And if you're going to go down the wholesale route where you don't ever actually buy properties, here's what you need is you need a database. You already have a database, at least I hope you have a database of people, leads that are interested in investing. That's your first place to go. Talk to your title company and they're going to tell you, here's all the cash buyers in the last year. Zillow, Craigslist, and Facebook, start asking who's looking for discounted properties, or go and call. This is my favorite strategy. Go and call anybody who's offering their place up for rent that's not working with a property manager and ask if they'd be willing to sell your property, or if they'd be willing to sell their property to you. If they say no, okay, now you have another buyer because it means that they're an investor. If they say yes, you can go and wholesale their property and just continue to feed the tunnel, the channel. Number 4, buyer list. You can buy a list from places, talk to other realtors. And then there's a buddy I have, his name is David Dodge. He has a free course called The Ultimate Guide to Wholesaling Real Estate. So if you want to learn how to wholesale at a high level, man, that dude is just printing cash in his world. He's not a licensed realtor like you or me. I'm just assuming that you're a licensed realtor. And instead, he's just doing the wholesale gig on a really high level. And finally, number 5, here's where we're going to get to. And I'll tell you this iBuyer movement, this snap offer platform is, I don't want to say life-changing. It is, in my opinion, a no-brainer. You can do it with literally no risk if you're going to wholesale the properties. If you're going to take the risk on, yes, there's risk. You're going to lose on a couple deals, but you're going to make buco bucks on others. I'm making right now an extra $50,000 to $75,000 a month because I'm doing this. And I started 24 months ago. What we have for you are 2 opportunities. Number 1 is we have an iBuyer mastermind. If you're going to do this on your own, join our iBuyer mastermind. It's $250 a month. It lives on Facebook. I post videos and great content all the time. Other users are doing the same. We do a live group call once a month where you can get questions answered, where we can present on some new strategies. And we have all of our content in there. It's like a library. It's like the Netflix of iBuying, all in one spot. $250 a month. I don't know if you're thinking about doing this, why you wouldn't jump on and at least give it a month or 2 to see if it's right for you. The second way is we sell everything that we have in a toolbox. It's an iBuyer toolbox so that you can literally take everything that we've done and we're going to regurgitate it for you. It's $2,000, a one-time fee, $2,000. Now, here's what that $2,000 gets you. Is it's going to get you, it's going to get you a pro forma. It's going to get you seller net sheets. It's going to get you a disclosure statement for your sellers. If you go to a lawyer and ask them to create a disclosure statement from scratch, they're going to charge you, $1,000, maybe $1,500. We're going to just give that to you, and you still need to get it and bring it to your lawyer, but they're going to edit it for your state and your region instead of having to create it from scratch. We're going to give you the branding. The only thing that we have that's like trademarked in this is the name Snap Offer. So if you do this without us, you can't use the name Snap Offer. But otherwise, we have marketing materials that are created. We have little videos. We'll take your logo and make it look like it's just your own video. Some things that you can use to send to your database and put on social media and that sort. We'll share with you the advertising that we're doing for the 10K. We'll get you all of our disclosure statements, our promissory notes, and all those things. So that's all bundled up in one package for $2,000. You can literally buy that package and be active with this tomorrow. Or you can just hammer through and do it on your own. I don't care, frankly. I'm okay with whichever one that you choose to do. But I'll tell you this is I hope you choose to do the Snap Offer platform. I want to show you just a couple of things that are super cool, and then we'll wrap up. If you do have questions, please put them in the chat box. Y'all have been quiet, which is either I know what I'm covering or you're just tuned out and checking Facebook right now. But either way, ask some questions if you have them. I'll tell you this is we're offering right now, if you go to our website, it's hatchcoaching.com, we have our discount code that we want to give you. It's webinar 10. So if you're watching the recording of this, webinar 10, but otherwise those of you who are watching live, we're going to send you an email. We have a ton of products that we built out, and I want to share with you the thing we're most excited about. Over here in the next room, I have my buddy Robbie Trefethrin, otherwise known as Robbie T. He is the ultimate lead converter. He's like the top ISA coach in the country. He's built out a module called the Ultimate Guide of Lead Conversion. What this is it is like a 45 video series to train anybody on how to convert leads. It is the best training you can get in the industry, and you don't have to pay the super high price. We, in fact, have it at such a tangible, accessible price that you'd be crazy not to buy it. And it's a monthly subscription, right? You'd be crazy not to jump on it and put it in front of your agents or put it in front of your ISAs or both. Because if you don't have an ISA, you are the ISA. Now, I went and did the same. I built out about a 40 video package of how to build a real estate team. And we're so excited about this because it's every step that we've taken, every step that I should have taken to build what is now a top 50 real estate team in the country for the last 6 years. So if you want any of this, go to hatchcoaching.com, use the discount code webinar10 to save some cash. We also have products, books, materials, training guides, all this. And if you want to sign up for this iBuyer Mastermind, we're going to send you out a link of how you get signed up for the Mastermind. Or if you want to buy the package, we're going to get on a call and I'll answer any questions that you have before we activate that for you. So all this is going to be in the email. All the details are going to be there. And it doesn't look like we have any questions, which is lovely. So for those of you that are with us today, thanks so much for tuning in live. And if you're watching the recording, boy, you sat through hopefully what is a major value add into your business. I can't wait to help you grow. And in any sort of way, please just go to hatchcoaching.com and we'll have everything you need. With that, God bless and have a beautiful day.